Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people and some of the country's biggest stars. And we've got one for you today. Lee Mead's been an old friend for over 10 years now. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Alex. I'm good. Yeah, it's nice to have a chat again and see you.
Well, it's incredible to see you in person because I just saw you in December in Panto in Birmingham. And by the way, I thought that was probably the best pantomime I've ever seen. It was exceptional, wasn't it?
I think, yeah, it was actually. I'll tell you, I think it was because for Kudos, the company, they've got 26 shows and they just plough a load of money into the production. I think it was a good £500,000 production. So, and great to be playing the lead. Yeah, Aladdin. Get to rub my lamp 12 shows a week. Take that as you may.
But it was a good bit of maths on their part. I think that show made $4 million profit.
It did, yeah.
And it cost $250,000. That's a lot of money for the producers. And I think the reason they did that, because it was such a stellar cast. And you all had your own bit. Julian had the knob gags. The fella from Wet, Wet, Wet came on and was creepy. And then you got to steal the show with your voice. And I have to say, I don't think you've ever sounded better. It was a great role for you to shine.
Thank you, that's very kind. It's a good point because the song that I sing at the end of the first half that was written by Gary Hind, Nothing Is Impossible. Panto is cheesy, that's part of being Christmas, but that particular song was so well written and a great ballad to end the first half with. I had that big note at the end, and doing that 12 times a week at times did take its toll, but it was worth doing the number because it was just a great song to sing, really, and you've got the acrobats, obviously, and everything else going on, and Matt Slack and Julian, and it was brilliant 6 weeks. I mean, I finished and went home and back to Southend where I'm from and just collapsed, but it was I was exhausted by the end of it. But
I don't know how you do it. I mean, firstly, you're selling out every night in that huge theatre. It is the biggest pantomime in Britain, which must mean you're one of the biggest stars because that's the way the business works. That's got to feed you, but doing it twice a day must just be exhausting. And the repetition of it also is mentally sort of plays with you.
Yeah, it does. I got quite... The last week, I think the last 4 days, I started to get a bit of a cold and your body starts to shut down because you can see the final hurdle in sight. But there was a few good nights out there as well. So it was,
Birmingham is a great city to do anything, isn't it? Because it's basically a little London.
Oh, it's brilliant, yeah. And I've toured there for years, you know, but to be there for 6 weeks, I mean, it's a nice meals and a few bottles of wine on some nights, yeah. But it was just a great fun run, really. I really enjoy it. I mean, my biggest regret was not doing Panto sooner. I've always said this. I got offered it after doing Joseph back in almost 9 years ago now. Yeah, and I thought, Panto, not sure if I fancy doing that. The first one I did in Southampton, Jack and the Beanstalk, it's just a great laugh, yeah. And you got that freedom to kind of not do what you want, but go off the book, and for Kudos especially, the production values are huge. And you just have a laugh for 4 or 5 weeks, yeah.
What I love about your career and your story is that you are credible and very relevant still. That's hard to achieve, especially when you come from a reality-style show. I think the reason you are still here and getting these huge roles is your voice, which is remarkable. I wonder what strain is on you day in, day out to sound like Lee Mead, because that's not easy.
It's always a hard question to answer that, really. I think, yeah, I was having a conversation with Bobby, we just met today, and it's 10 years next year since I won that reality show as such, the Joseph programme for the theatre role, and I feel quite proud. I mean, those that know me, I'm a pretty humble guy, but there's a lot to be said for 10 years on to be doing big TV roles, albums, tours, leads in musicals, and because the X Factor and those kind of shows, often the winners are off the radar after a couple of years. So I've tried to keep my head down and work hard, and fortunately 10 years on, I'm still around. So next year we're looking at doing a celebration of that and hope for a TV special or in talks now to do something, because I think it's quite an achievement, really. So
it absolutely is. I mean, I sat there 10 years ago nearly at the Adelphi talking to you and seeing the reaction at the stage door. It was a ridiculous time for you, wasn't it? And I was escorted in by security and, more importantly, escorted out because they thought I was going to be you, and the disappointment on their faces when they saw me, you would have seen it. How do you deal with that? Because that could play with you, that sort of adoration for that very specific moment.
Well, I guess it's a couple of things, really. It's your upbringing, and I think for me, I was 26 when that happened, and a lot of the guys on that show in the final were 17, 18. Now, if you get that level of fame at that age, that instantly, it could go to your head, and you could end up in a pile somewhere, you know, with drugs and booze. But yeah, I was 26, and I'm a very normal guy from Southend. I'm very close to my family, and I just I like the odd drink, but I think I've just tried not to take it too seriously. I take the work very seriously, but the interviews and you know, all the TV stuff, it's a chance to plug and talk about you and what you're doing, but that's it. And I think people that start to believe the hype of fame, that's when they get lost, because you're only as big as your last job, and the last job often doesn't last very long. So
yeah, absolutely. And I do think of all the genres of entertainment, musical theatre is one of the hardest, because the discipline of getting it right every night, you've got to have the core skills to do that. And of course, this isn't surprising that you're able to still do it, because this is what you were born to do and you've always done.
Yeah, I started quite late. I was 17, 18. I did a couple of amateur shows and stuff, and then local productions, and then my first job was on a car ferry, actually, to like £40 cruises. It's called the Pride of Bilbao. Do you know that? It was a booze ferry. Did six shows a week, and sung with a small band. And I think that's a large part of it. I've experienced both ends of the spectrum of the profession. You know, and I wasn't fortunate enough to train at RADA and go straight into West End. I had to graft from the bottom, and then work my way up, and then it all kicked off from there. But yeah, it's been a few. So prior to the Joseph thing that launched me, the platform, it was a good 4 or 5 years of the chorus in big shows and doing cabaret with Pasquale and Ken Dodd, and you know, singing to like 70 people in a 1,500 seat theatre. And yeah,
you throw that in as if that's nothing. I mean, one name there, Ken Dodd. They don't get bigger than him.
Oh,
so were you sort of the centre act in that show as part of his cabaret? How did that work?
It was the Spa Theatre, Bridlington. That was my second job, and I was a lead vocalist. There was four guy dancers, 4 girls, a lead female singer, and myself, and a little cabaret show for summer season. And Ken came in for one night. I remember knocking on his door, actually, and I'll never forget it. His grey socks on with holes. He's going to hate me for saying this, but he was the kindest man, and his feet were up on his table in his dressing room, and I walk in and I go, "Hi, Ken. My name's Lee. I'm the do you mind if I have a little chat? I'm just starting off." And we had a good half-hour chat, and I had a whiskey with him, and his feet were up with his holes in his socks. And we just talked about the Palladium, and I mean, this guy's a legend, you know. He's still out there now touring as well. And he's in his 80s, touring the UK, still at it. And it's those kind of people that, I mean, that's real entertainment, and it's those guys that set precedent for, you know, guys like myself, really.
Do you still pinch yourself when people now know who you are before you introduce yourself? Because that's a strange feeling when stars know you.
I don't know about pinch myself. I do find it perhaps not odd, but I wouldn't say I've got used to it. I don't know. I think when anybody knows who you are before you've met them, that's always quite a strange thing. Like, I'll be on the tube today. I got off at Oxford Circus, walking down, and one guy went, "Hey, Lofty," and then yesterday it was Joseph. It's like, so yeah, it's nice that people recognise your work, and. But you know, those that know me, I'm happy to talk to anyone. If I've got time, I'll have a chat and whatever, you know. But it's when people are quite rude that I usually give them about 5 seconds, and then.
But they're few and far between.
Yeah, they are.
I guess for you it's different now. I mean, originally it would have been Joseph. Oh, Any Dream Will Do, all that stuff. I guess now it's Casualty has given you a new lease of life with a new sort of fan base that will know you for that. It's interesting how your career sort of changes as it sort of meanders.
Yeah, I was very lucky to land Casualty, because I was doing big shows like Wicked and you know, my albums and concerts and things, and Legally Blonde and West End musicals. But then I got the call from Ollie Kent, the exec producer on Casualty. I did a guest step 4 or 5 years prior to that, and he called Will, my agent, and said, "We've written this part for Lee." I mean, I doubt I'll go the rest of my career having a part written specifically for me, called Lofty, and would Lee come in and read for the role? I said, yeah, sure. So I had 3 big scenes, a lot of dialogue, locked it down. I was in there for an hour and a half, and I was on set in Cardiff filming 2 weeks later. Yeah, and I guess what it did, it relaunched my career, or gave it that boost again. I'd say it's one of the biggest shows on TV. I mean, it's been going 30 years. It's 4 or 5 million viewers a week, and then instantly you're back on the telly again, which is also good for the helps with the concerts and the profile as well.
And again, reminds people you are a great actor, because, I mean, I saw you in Wicked, and I've seen you throughout your career in various things. I don't know whether I'm stalking you or you're stalking me. We ought to get out more. But, I mean, you can do it and you can deliver. And I guess TV, I know it's sad you can do theatres night in and night out, but you're never going to reach that number of people in one go.
It's true. Yeah, I think I worked out once, 8 shows a week for a year is 500,000 people, but one night of Casualty or TV is 4 million. But then it's a different medium, so you're not in front of a live audience, which is a great buzz as well. But I tried for a good 4 or 5 years to get a TV role though. I mean, I did a couple of guest steps on things, but for some reason in this country it's harder to make that transition. I mean, America, they let you do a lead on Broadway and then you can do big TV shows. But over here, I mean, it's changing slightly more now. A lot of the EastEnders casts and various TV shows, they have musical theatre actors and different, kind of people. But that transition was hard for 4 or 5 years. I was down to the last 2 for Robin Hood, the big TV series. Foz Allen, the creator, was backing me the whole way, but because I had no TV experience at the time, they wouldn't take that punt. But Ollie Kent, Casualty, the exec on that, said, let's cast him, yeah.
Brilliant. And then, of course, I don't wish to be offensive because we're about the same age, but there's going to come a point where you go from sort of getting the Juve lead roles where you're looking all beautiful and all of that stuff to getting the sort of middle-age roles, and that's on its way. Are you prepared for that yet?
Well, I guess it started because I'm doing Chitty Bang Bang. I'm playing Caractacus Potts, and he's got 2 kids. Yeah, but yeah, it's, you know what? I've never worried about that kind of thing. I think what worries me is if I don't develop and keep pushing myself, because then you get left behind. And I've got an amazing fan base and great fans, and hopefully I can continue the concerts until I'm an old man and the albums. I love to sing, and in terms of the TV roles, it's my job to keep looking after myself and pushing myself to make sure that I can land those roles. And yeah, I guess with Potts and Chitty as well, it's I'm a dad myself. I've got a little girl, Betsy, who's 5, 6 this year, so it feels nice to be playing that kind of part, being a dad as well. So.
And being a dad, I mean, this must be thrilling now because you can have fun, you can go and do stuff. I've never been really into babies. I don't quite get them. They just seem quite annoying. But then there's a point where they start doing stuff, and I guess that's the point where you're at now. Yeah,
it's still hard work. I mean, I've got Betsy the half term this week, the whole of this week, and 7:20 this morning, leaped on my face. It's like, Daddy, I want Cocoa Pops. Smashing, wake up. So yeah, from 7:30 till 8 o'clock at night, it's relentless. Yeah, but it's the best feeling in the world. I mean,
it's like Panto, but easier, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So we have a lot of fun, and you just get. I just love being a dad, and for me, it's there's no right or wrong, but I think my dad had me when he's 21, and I've got a brother, and I've grown up very much close to my family, so I guess that's what you know, isn't it? And being a dad is the most important thing in my life. So.
And I suppose things like Christmases are just magical.
Brilliant, yeah. I love it. It's quite a special time. I was trying to think this Christmas. Obviously, I got one day off, which was Christmas Day, and Betsy came to see the Pantomime in Birmingham, stayed for a few days with the grandparents, and went to Santa's Grotto, and she's got all her dolls that she wanted, Barbie dolls and things, and One Direction calendar and stuff. I was like, really, you're 6?
What does she make of this? I mean, the new album that I've just listened to on the train and in the car is really interesting. Some Enchanting Evening is you at your best doing what you do, which is just nailing it. You have this natural tone that just sounds effortless, and you make it seem so easy. Is this Daddy, or is this some other fellow who just happens to be in showbiz?
Is it Daddy? I don't know, really. I think...
Because there's 2 daddies, isn't there? There's Daddy that you jump on at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then there's Daddy that's on stage in front of 2,000.
It's probably a bit of both, really. I think this record in particular, I've always wanted to do a musical theatre album, and I think that's a large part of my audience. I haven't done the shows and stuff, but attempting to do an album from the film era, 40s, 50s, I think people could instantly go, oh, that's quite old-fashioned, but... It was very important for me to make this kind of album, but respect the authenticity, but also making sure the arrangements are really modern. And I think we've achieved that, because I want a younger audience to listen to this album as well, and obviously through Casualty and various stuff I've done, the shows recently. There's a lot of that support now, and I think they're really going to enjoy it. It's called Some Enchanted Evening. Yeah, it comes out on the 26th of Feb. Yeah, so not long, about a week away. So.
You've mentioned your fans several times. We need to address it. I mean, there are certain people I do, like Daniel every year, and Cliff, and Michael Ball, and you, who have this remarkable, obsessive following from your fans who just adore you.
They're amazing.
How do you create that? Because that's what everybody in showbiz is trying to achieve, this following that no matter where you go, they come. It's fascinating.
Well, you've got 2 options. I think I thought about this really early on. You either put on a fake persona, and which I think a lot of people in this industry have done and do very well, and be very charming and perhaps genuine to a level, but it becomes a brand. I just thought that to me that's too exhausting, and very early on I thought
it's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work. Yeah, I never go out. I never drink wine. Yes, so very early on I just thought you've got to be yourself and just express how you feel about things and be honest and the funny thing is the more normal I am, if I have a day where I'm tired, I come out the stage door, I've got my beanie on. The fans seem to warm to that more. I think I don't know. I mean, you have to ask them, but I just try and do my thing, hopefully do it well, and be myself. Yeah.
As you can tell, I'm a deeply unattractive man, and this is something you've not been cursed with. You could deny it. What is that like? It is strange, isn't it, to have people adore you both physically and professionally. Does that ever become normal, that you've sort of got the pick of the crop should you choose them? It's an odd thing for a guy like me to comprehend. Do you understand what I'm saying, Lee?
I'm laughing. I don't know about pick of the crop, but do you know what? Honestly, I don't even think about it. I just...
All attractive people say this, but being delicious is great, though, isn't it? Let's admit that.
Yeah, but I'd have to have a pretty big ego to say, yeah, I love my jawline. I've got a great bone structure.
You were born to be Gaston, weren't you?
Oh dear. But I've got no idea. I mean, horses for courses, isn't it? Really, I don't know. I don't even know how to begin to answer that question. I just there's a female following there, and it's nice, and but I don't think any more beyond that. Really, it's just. I don't know what to say. Yeah,
strange question.
Embarrassed by it, yeah.
And we talk about this year. I mean, what a blessed life you've got. I mean, to have a CD out, to have come off the biggest panto in the UK and then go into Chitty. I think people forget how hard it is to get a role and how many people are competing for them. I mean, you've got comedians like Jason Manford who are now up for musical roles. He should be touring theatres doing comedy, but he's chosen to do this. That's one less gig there is out there. It is tough, isn't it, to get a gig? And then when they choose you, do you analyse why, or do you just get on with it and don't think about it? Because it could blow your mind, the choices they've got.
I don't think about anything in my life, really. I don't think.
Totally vacuous,
I think thinking is not good, yeah. I honestly don't plan ahead too much, but I do plan ahead. I plan my projects way in advance, but I don't worry about the future because you've no control over that. I think, in answer to your question, I always believe that if you look after your talent or your voice or work on your craft, which I always try to do, then hopefully the rest will click into place, and it has, and I'm in a fortunate position now. Like with Chitty, it was a straight offer. I didn't have to audition for the role, and that's through 10, 15 years of work and people knowing that you can deliver. So, yeah, I guess that's a large part of it. And but if I panicked every night of the week, about the next role or the next paycheck, then I wouldn't sleep. Probably I'd be ill. So,
yeah, it's terrifying when you think about it, especially when you've got a kid to support.
I've been doing it 15 years. So I think that's all I've known about looking for the next gig, and you try and save on the job when you can, but yeah, I think a big part of it is planning ahead all the time. I'm thinking of 2017 already about that projects for then and beyond this year. So I think as long as you can work hard, and hopefully people want to hear you sing and see you act and do your thing, then hopefully I should always be out there. So.
I think age is going to work in your favour because the quality of your voice and how you can deliver on a stage and the fact you've done it now for so long that you're not a risk that you're going to pull out after 3 shows. I mean, something like a Jean Valjean or a Phantom, does that excite you or is that off your radar?
Oh, 100%, yeah. But I don't think... I know Ben Forrester that's playing Phantom at the moment. I think we're similar ages. I don't know. That may happen as and when, or may not happen. But they're great. They're great roles. Yeah, I know John Owen Jones really well. Who plays Valjean for years in the West End and Broadway, and jumped between Phantom and Valjean. It'll be a real test for me. I'm not sure if I could sing that 8 shows a week. I mean, perhaps I could. I know Ramin Karimli very well as well, who's played the role.
Trouble with that show, at the end of the show they're all dead and they're the lucky ones. I mean, it's a bit down, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah,
I mean, the clue's in the title.
Yeah. My first ever audition was for Marius.
What's it?
It was an open audition on the stage, and I queued for 4 hours outside the Shaftesbury Theatre at 16. And I was the 3rd guy in. Those guys from America that flew over had no agents at the time, because it's hard to get an agent when you're starting off. 5 hours outside the Shaftesbury, and I walked on stage, and you learn, don't you? I walked on, gave the music to the pianist. Okay, next, I said, my name's Lee Mead. Nice to meet you. Okay, Lee, when you're ready. And I went, Love is next. Okay, thank you. That's literally cool. That as quick as that. Wow. One line of it's a wrong song actually to choose for a Lee Mead audition.
Well, what do they want? One Day More. When you go into a show to audition, do you always audition with that show's song?
It depends. They sometimes send the material across to you to learn a song from the show, or they'll ask you to bring a song.
Are you not tempted to just go in with Agadoo just to stick out, for example?
Can you imagine? I probably wouldn't get employed ever again, would I? It's like, show me the way to Amarillo.
Yeah, at least they'd remember you. I suppose there is that. This new album, it's really lovely. I've only heard 2 tracks of it, which is all I've got so far. By Myself, again, is one of those tracks that just allows you to shine. Could you do that if you were feeling a bit down at 80%? Because the last minute and a half of it is up there in the rafters, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's that vocal stamina, I guess, really. And I find that once I bed in the songs for a tour or the material, because in a way my own show is harder than doing any lead in a musical. I think with parts in Chitty, I'm on the whole 2 hours pretty much, but there's only 3 or 4 songs or 4 or 5 numbers, but I do 20 numbers in my show, and they're big vocal numbers as well. But and that's where rehearsals come into play, and then a month or 2 before the tour, I start bedding in the songs vocally every day, and but yeah, it's a big song to sing. But I think more importantly is that the numbers on this record genuinely relate to me and parts of my life, and I've made sure that they're not just. I think it's important to, if you're going to do a cover album, there's more responsibility sometimes than being a writer, because they're other people's songs, so you've got to respect that, and it's not a case of whacking 11 songs down. This has taken 9 months to put together, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. So,
what a year this is going to be for you. Chitty from May through, I think, October.
Mid-September, and they've got 2 weeks off, and then tour the album October, yeah. So.
And what an album it is. I mean, it's you at your best. I don't think you've ever sounded better, and I don't think you've ever been more confident personally either. It's great to see you in such a great place, owning everything you do, because you are so blessed and talented and consistent, and you can't buy that. I hope you know how much and how well respected you are and how much people love you.
That's very kind, Alex. Yeah, I feel very, yeah, it's lovely to hear. It's funny. I think a lot of people find it hard sometimes to take praise, but it's. I just feel very lucky to to sing and act and have people hear and watch me kind of do my thing, really.
Keep on keeping on. Thank you so much. Lee Mead, the new album is out. It's called Some Enchanted Evening, and looking Mr. Delicious as always. I know your fans will love this, and they can see you on tour from October. Great to talk to you, Lee.
Thanks, Alex. Cheers.